This tournament is claiming casualties. Giants are falling, dreams are dying, and now another big name has just been swallowed whole. Less than 24 hours after the reigning champions were dumped out of the World Cup in the most brutal way imaginable, their head coach was gone. Lionel Scaloni, the man who lifted the trophy in Qatar, the man who ended 36 years of hurt for Argentina, walked away, resigned, done. The World Cup just took another victim. So welcome back to Soccer Clock, and let us talk about how the most celebrated coach of his generation ended up as collateral damage in a tournament that is systematically tearing the Giants apart, and the one fateful decision that sealed his fate. Let's start with the scale of what happened to Argentina, because this wasn't just a loss, it was a historic humiliation. Argentina are not just any footballing nation. They are the reigning world champions, three-time World Cup winners, a country that had reached at least the quarterfinals in 6 of the last 7 tournaments, home to Lionel Messi, home to a generation that had just conquered the planet. Reaching the last 8 wasn't a hope for Argentina, it was practically an expectation stitched into the shirt. And this time, they didn't even get close. Knocked out in the round of 16 by Cape Verde. Cape Verde, a nation of 500,000 people, playing in their first ever World Cup, sending the defending champions home. The earliest exit for a reigning World Cup winner since France crashed out in the group stage back in 2002. Never before had Argentina flown home from a knockout round with a result this embarrassing. Scaloni didn't just lose a match. He oversaw one of the most shocking upsets in the modern history of the game. And here on Soccer Clock, we have to be honest about the truly maddening part, the thing that turned criticism into fury. The way it happened was a self-inflicted wound. Because in the group stage, this Argentina side looked untouchable. They scored 9 goals across 3 matches, including a 4-0 dismantling of Croatia in a rematch of the semifinal from Qatar. Fluid, ruthless, confident football. The kind of football that makes you believe a nation is about to defend its crown. They looked like the team to beat. And then they ran into Cape Verde, and Scaloni did something baffling. He tore up the plan that was working. He rested Messi from the starting 11, claiming fatigue management. He dropped Julian Alvarez to the bench. He switched from his trusted 4-3-3 to a cautious 5-4-1, specifically designed, he said, to absorb pressure and hit on the counter against a side he clearly underestimated. And it backfired spectacularly. That negative shape didn't just fail to contain Cape Verde, it strangled Argentina's own attack. It gifted the underdogs belief. It handed them the ball. It turned a team that had just poured 9 goals past 3 opponents into a nervous, disjointed side that could barely string 5 passes together in the final third. As one analyst put it bluntly on Soccer Clock's timeline last night, the setup allowed Cape Verde to dream. The Argentines surrendered possession. They stopped pressing. They retreated. They looked scared of a team ranked outside the world's top 60. And playing scared at a World Cup is a death sentence. For a while, somehow, it almost worked anyway. Against the run of play, and only after Scaloni finally threw Messi on in the 68th minute and reverted to a back 4, Lautaro Martinez pounced on a loose ball in the box and prodded home in the 74th minute to make it 1-0. And there was real emotion in that goal. Lautaro had missed a string of chances all tournament, had been booed by sections of his own fans, and he fell to his knees, pointing to the sky, tears streaming. For a moment, it looked like Argentina might escape with a win their performance did not deserve. But this is the World Cup taking its victims, and it wasn't done. Deep into stoppage time in the 92nd minute, Cape Verde's Ryan Mendez floated in a cross from the left, and substitute Willy Semedo climbed above the Argentine back line to head home his first ever international goal. 1-1. The stadium fell silent. Extra time solved nothing. Emiliano Martinez, the hero of Qatar, produced 2 extraordinary saves to keep the champions alive. And so it went to the one place no defending champion ever wants to visit: penalties. And oh, the drama here was cruel. This was Argentina's chance to prove Qatar wasn't a fluke, to prove their nerve, to prove their aura. Instead, Paredes hit the post. Otamendi had his effort saved. Messi, ice-cold Messi, converted his. But it wasn't enough. Cape Verde's goalkeeper Vozinha became a national hero, and their captain stepped up, buried the winning kick, ripped off his shirt, and sent his tiny island nation into the quarterfinals of a World Cup. Argentina were out, and the tactical gamble that caused it all had Scaloni's fingerprints all over it. The criticism was instant, and it was brutal. Scaloni's cautious approach had been quietly questioned for months. The victory lap after Qatar had, in many people's eyes, made him untouchable. But since then, the results had softened, the performances had drifted, the Cape Verde decision was the final damning example. And to his credit, Scaloni did not hide from it. He defended the call. He said he would make the same choice again, that the coach's job is to try to protect his players and manage a long tournament. But he also took full responsibility. Nobody, he said, is more disappointed than I am. As national team coach, I carried that responsibility. I felt it, and I will always feel it. And then, less than a day later, he resigned. But here on Soccer Clock, this story becomes about far more than football, and it's important we treat it with the weight it deserves. Because Scaloni's decision to walk away was not only about tactics or results. In his farewell message, he revealed something that puts the entire tournament into perspective. His father, who had been battling a serious illness back home in Pujato, had taken a turn for the worse during the tournament. Scaloni had been flying back and forth between matches and hospital visits, carrying a weight nobody in the media knew about. His words hit hard. The last few weeks, he said, have made me realize there are more important things than football. Football has been my whole life, but you cannot put a price on family. When someone you love is fighting a battle, your perspective changes. That is a man stepping away not just because a gamble failed, but because he understands where football actually sits in the order of things. He listed the moments of his career: youth football in Pujato, playing days at Lazio and Deportivo, coaching the under-20s, lifting Copa America, lifting the World Cup, and it read like a man drawing a line under his entire managerial journey with the national team, not just his time in this tournament. He leaves, in his own words, with mixed feelings, but overriding pride. And whatever you think of his tactics, from all of us at Soccer Clock, you wish him and his family nothing but strength. There is one more thing that has to be said, because it is the ugliest footnote to this whole exit. After the loss, the Argentine players who missed their penalties, Paredes and Otamendi, were subjected to vile abuse online. Death threats, racist messages aimed at their families. The Argentine Football Association condemned it in the strongest possible terms and vowed to pursue every legal avenue. Let's be crystal clear about this on Soccer Clock. Missing a penalty at a World Cup is heartbreak. It is not a crime. These players carried their nation's hopes and fell short by inches, the way great players always have. The abuse they received is disgraceful. It has no place anywhere near this sport, and the people responsible deserve every consequence coming their way. Football is supposed to bring people together. What happened online does the exact opposite. So step back and look at the bigger picture, because Scaloni is not an isolated casualty. He is part of a pattern that is defining this entire World Cup. The giants are being taken down one after another, and the underdogs are the ones doing the taking. It was Cape Verde, the smallest nation ever to reach the knockout stage, who ended Scaloni and Argentina. On the very same weekend, 5-time champions Brazil were bundled out by Norway. Belgium, the golden generation refusing to die, never even made it out of the group. France, finalists just years ago, scraped out on penalties to Uzbekistan. And marching on in their place, Cape Verde, Norway, Uzbekistan, Morocco, Paraguay. The dark horses of this tournament are not just surviving. They are claiming scalps, ending careers, rewriting the entire hierarchy of world football in real time. That is what makes this World Cup so ruthless and so thrilling all at once. Every round, a giant falls. Every round, the tournament claims another victim. Scaloni is simply the latest name added to the list. A World Cup winning coach undone by a gamble that backfired and by an underdog that refused to know its place. Argentina are going home as champions dethroned in the earliest fashion imaginable, and they will be searching for a new direction, a new voice, a new era. The question is whether the remaining giants can steady themselves before this tournament swallows even more of them. So was Scaloni's cautious gamble the real reason the champions went home? Or was Cape Verde simply the story of a generation, the better team on the night, the fairy tale that football sometimes writes? Where do you land? Drop your verdict in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a story from Soccer Clock, because at this World Cup, no giant is safe. And on this channel, we will be here for every single fall.